Good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday, January the 19th, 2021. It is currently 1:57 p.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from Victory Baptist Church, located right here in Ovalo, Texas. Well, just a few minutes ago, I was in my car driving here to the church, and I heard something on Christian radio that I have to share with you. According to Christian radio, something dramatic happened in heaven yesterday. Something absolutely, I don't even know how to explain. Something beautiful, something wonderful, something very important happened in heaven yesterday, and Christian radio reported on it. Now, I don't know how they got their cameras there. I don't know how they got the reporter there. But according to Christian radio, a dramatic scene played out in heaven yesterday. Yesterday. We don't know the exact time, but sometime yesterday, we could probably work out the exact time if we do a little bit of research, but somewhere yesterday, Jesus, the eternal Son of God, who sits at the right hand of the Father, stood up from his throne. He stepped down from his throne and he greeted someone into heaven. He shook their hand. He walked up to this individual. He shook their hand and he said these words to this individual: "Welcome, thy good and faithful servant." Now, this is reported on Christian radio. You think I'm making this up, but I am not. American Family Radio, they literally said this is what happened yesterday in heaven. Jesus stood up from the throne. He stepped away from the throne. He walked up to someone. He greeted them and to give them entrance into heaven. He shook their hand. He shook their hand and said, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant." Now, again, I don't know exactly how Christian radio got this information. I don't know, if they were transported into heaven and they were able to witness this, but they were reporting this. I want to make sure you understand this as a dogmatic fact. This is what happened in heaven. And why was this happening? Who was this individual that they were welcoming into heaven? Who was this individual who, of all the people who died yesterday, why was it this individual that got Jesus to stand up from the throne, walk away from the throne, and greet him? Who was this individual? What had this person done? Well, according to Christian radio, the name of the individual was Joe Scheidler. Joe Scheidler. He was 8. I believe, how old was he? Let me make sure I've got the exact age here. Joe Scheidler. And that last name is spelled Scheidler. Joe Scheidler. All right. And let me look up his name. Let me look up information here. All right. Let's see. He died at 93 years of age. He was 93 years of age and he died on Martin Luther King Day. And according to Christian radio, he died and then there he was in heaven, and Jesus stepped off the throne, shook his hand, and said, "Welcome, thy good and faithful servant." Now, who is Joe Scheidler? Well, he's in many ways, he's described, in fact, I got an article right here that describes him as the godfather of pro-life activism. He was the one who really kind of started the street protest and street counseling and holding up signs of aborted babies and those types of things, trying to stop abortion. He was very much against abortion, believed it was murder, believed it was wrong. The pro-life, the pro-abortion side definitely went after him. He was taken to court, went all the way up to the Supreme Court, I think 2 times. They tried to charge him with racketeering charges. And he ultimately, I think, won all of his court victories. It was a big struggle. They went after him. And he never engaged in violent protest, from my understanding of all he did. He didn't trespass. He stayed on public property. He tried to counsel people. And then he would, have signs up, again, showing aborted babies and trying to counsel people not to abort their babies. So he was very pro-life, very much against abortion. And the pro-abortion side definitely did not like him and definitely went after him. Now, again, according to Christian radio, now I want to make sure I state this. This would be American Family Radio, not the Catholic radio network, but you would have to describe it as Protestant Christian Radio Network, American Family Radio, definitely on the Protestant side. They said that Joe Scheidler yesterday entered into heaven. Jesus got off the throne, walked up to him, shook his hand, and said, "Welcome, thy good and faithful servant." Well, I started doing as much research as I could, and from everything I can find, Joe Scheidler was a committed and faithful Catholic. So if a good and faithful Catholic, if that is accurate, and I stress if that is accurate, and everything, most of the articles I have about him are from Catholic websites. I'm looking at one from Catholic.org talking about him. And I think they say here, in fact, let me see if I have a quote here. They talk a lot about him. They talk about, in fact, okay, here we go. At the foundation of his efforts to stand against abortion, at the foundation is a strong Catholic faith installed with him early on and a devout Catholic family. He served as an altar boy and wanted to devote himself to the Lord. In fact, he spent years in a seminary and entered a Benedictine monastery. All right. Later, he left feeling that he, was not called to be consecrated celibacy, but to marriage and family. Then he married, and then his oldest son struggled with his faith, declared himself an atheist. But this good father and man of faith offered his participation at Holy Mass and prayers for his prodigal son. His son came home to the Catholic Church in 1997 and now serves as the executive director of the Pro-Life Action League, founded by his father in 1980. So, I mean, all of this information seems to say he was a faithful Catholic, attended Mass, and I mean, then he would have held to Catholic theology and a Catholic understanding of salvation. So, but according to Protestant radio, no, he entered into heaven, good and faithful servant. Welcome in. I'm going to shake your hand. The Son, the eternal Son of God, met him in heaven and shook his hand. Now, again, I don't know how they are aware of that occurred, but they are convinced that is what happened. Now, why am I taking the time to report this? Why? Why am I doing that? Well, you could get into, well, wait a minute. How could they even try to say that that's what happened in heaven? We could argue that. Some may say, well, they were just using poetic language to describe the fact that this man entered into heaven. Okay. Well, even if you say it's poetic language, even if you say that they were just saying it in a figurative way, fine. All right. I will allow you to have your way. But here is what is so concerning. Protestant Christian radio just threw out the Protestant Reformation like it never happened, and just basically said that Catholics now can enter into heaven just like Protestants can, and I guess we can enter into heaven based off completely two different theologies of salvation and the gospel. I guess you can have two gospel. Wait, can you have two gospels? Because I thought there's only one true gospel, and any other gospel is not a true gospel. It's a false gospel, and it's anathema. Because either our gospel is anathema, the Protestant gospel is anathema, or the Catholic gospel is anathema, but they both can't be true because they both teach completely different perspectives on how one stands before a holy God. Is it because of an infused righteousness that you cooperate with, and then hopefully you don't, you die in a state of grace so that you can go to purgatory and then you can be purged from your sins and then ultimately get into heaven? Because according to his own Catholic faith, he wouldn't have went to heaven, he would have gone to purgatory. But hey, no. The Protestants even know that, I guess you can hold to Catholic theology, and then the Protestant Christian radio can come along and say, hey, forget your Catholic theology. You went straight to heaven. But wait a minute. So the Catholic teaching on purgatory is wrong, but I guess their view on the gospel is right. I don't understand what just happened. He gets into heaven. Now, here's what happened, and here's why I'm reporting this. This is another example where your salvation is determined. Your salvation is based not on what you believe in regards to the gospel, not what you believe in regards to the finished work of Jesus Christ. Your salvation in the minds of many Christians is based on what you do and believe about abortion. The question is, what do you believe about abortion? The question is, what have you done about abortion? If you believe abortion is wrong and you have done things to stop it and fight against it, well then welcome in thy good and faithful servant. Heaven is yours. You get heaven based off what you believe about abortion, not what you believe about salvation. Not that you don't have to believe in salvation by grace alone, through faith alone, because of Christ alone. You don't have to trust in the finished work of Jesus Christ. You don't have to trust in an imputed righteousness. No, you can cooperate with an infused righteousness and believe in almost a works-based system, and hey, that's perfectly okay, because see, he got the question about abortion right. If you get the question about abortion right, you get into heaven. And this is becoming a very common way of talking among many evangelical Christians, and I don't get it. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. If you don't vote for Trump, that means you're for killing of babies, and if you're killing of babies, you're not saved. Boom. So wait, I thought my salvation was based off what I believe about Jesus Christ. We don't care about that whole Jesus stuff anymore. What we care about is abortion. You gotta make sure you cross the T and dot the I in your view on abortion, because if you don't have the right belief on abortion, you're not saved. How do we know? Because we, the official Protestant magisterium, we declare who is saved and who is not saved based off, well, who you voted for. I mean, if you didn't vote for Trump, then you're for killing babies. And if you're killing babies, then you don't have the wrong view of abortion. If you have a wrong view of abortion, well, then you're damned to an eternity in hell. Every Christian should be bothered by that. Now, the name of the program that aired is Focal Point. It will be available to listen to on demand, probably here, I don't know, maybe here in the next hour. We'll try to get the audio for it the next time I'm here, maybe tomorrow, and I'll try to play it for you so you can hear it for yourself. But I want to make it very clear. You can explain away the way they described what happened. Hey, Joseph Scheidler died. And then they wanted to use a poetic way of saying there was Jesus, stood up from his throne, walked up to him, shook his hand, and said, welcome in, thy good and faithful servant. You can say, well, that was just poetic language, and you can dismiss that. Fine. I'm not going to get into an argument with you about that. But how do you justify a Protestant radio station saying a faithful Catholic who would have held to Catholic theology being entered into heaven based solely because of what he did about abortion? They didn't say anything about his beliefs. They didn't say anything about his life. They just said, hey, he got abortion right, so we know, we are absolutely positive that he is in heaven. That's no longer Christian radio. That's not Christian radio, because Christian radio should be about the correct understanding of the gospel of Jesus Christ, but that's not required anymore. All you got to do is get Trump right, get voting right, get abortion right, and boom, you get into heaven. So anyone who doesn't vote your way, they don't get into heaven because they don't believe the same thing you believe about abortion, so they don't get into heaven. Jesus, the finished work of Christ, of the cross, is irrelevant anymore. If you don't see the problem with that, then I'm sorry, you have been hijacked. You have been corrupted. You have been, you need help. You need to repent. You need to get back into the thing we call the Word of God. I just, as I was listening to it, I'm like, Joe Scheidler. I've heard his name on Catholic websites. I've heard his name on Catholic radio. I know this man's a Catholic. I can almost guarantee it. But I will still allow for the possibility that maybe he left the Catholic Church at some point. I'm just saying that you look him up, Joe Scheidler, if I can say his name correctly, and you start looking at all the articles, you'll see Catholic website after Catholic website after Catholic website saying, hey, this man passed away, this man passed away. Hey, at the center, at the foundation of his fight and his courage to stand against abortion was his Catholic faith. But hey, I guess it doesn't matter. Catholic, see, here's the thing. It doesn't really matter if you're a Catholic. It doesn't really matter if you're a Protestant. I'm assuming, I guess it doesn't matter if you're a Mormon. It doesn't matter if you're a Jehovah's Witness. It probably shouldn't even matter if you're a Muslim. All you got to do is be against abortion and support Trump, and you're saved. If you don't see how politics has hijacked the American church, I don't know what I can do to try to prove it to you. But I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. So I pulled up in the parking lot of the church, opened the door, came back here, and said, I've got to tell everyone this. I got to tell everyone this. Look, I know people may not like what I'm about to say, but this is historical biblical Christianity. I've just got to say this, all right? And it's just crazy that this is now controversial, but I'm going to say it. You can spend your life standing up and fighting against abortion. You can spend your life standing up for the unborn. And look, all wonderful, all great, all wonderful. But that has nothing to do with your salvation. Your salvation is not based on what you do or don't do. It's based off what Jesus Christ did and finished on the cross in his death, his burial, his resurrection, and his ascension to the right hand of the Father. Your salvation is based on your faith in him and his imputed righteousness accredited to your account. You are saved because of what Jesus did by his passive and active obedience, by his finished work, not your work. Because if you think you're saved by your work, well, I'm sorry to say your work, even if you stand against abortion from the every day of your life, from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, that still would not be sufficient to please a God who demands that you are perfectly holy. You would never be righteous enough. That's the whole point of Jesus dying on the cross. He died because we cannot save ourselves. We're helpless, hopeless, depraved sinners. Now, does that mean you should not care about abortion? I'm not saying that. Am I saying you should just not do anything? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we don't say people are in heaven based off what they do. It's about what did they believe about Jesus Christ? Were they trusting and putting their faith in him? I don't know what else to say other than there you have it. There, I just feel like that of all the things I've talked about, this is just another example of what I keep saying. The church, biblical Christianity is being written out of existence by the Christianity. Christianity is redefining Christianity. The greatest threat to Christianity right now is Christians. The greatest threat to Christianity right now is the church. The greatest threat to Christianity right now is Christian radio. The greatest threat to Christianity right now is Christian books. It's almost like you're going to have to flee Christianity in order to find true Christianity. You're going to have to run from Christians, run from Christian radio, run from the mainstream churches, you're going to have to run from it all to try to find biblical historical Christianity because the church is rewriting it. And just leading up to the election, I just kept seeing this argument being made. Well, if you don't vote for Trump, then that means you support the killing of babies. Therefore, you're not a Christian. And I'm like, how do we get to where is that theological argument in the Bible? The theological argument in the Bible is pretty straightforward. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Now you can say, yeah, but if you believe in Jesus, you're going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, you can say you're going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but no one's going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G all the way to Z. No one's going to do it perfectly. They're going to fall, they're going to fail, and they're not going to do things always correct. And if you think that they are, then you're fooling yourself because we still maintain a sinful nature that is still present. And that's why we struggle to put on, put off. Now, positionally, before God, we're perfect. We're righteous. We're obedient. We're forgiven. Practically, we're still sinners. So I get so tired of saying, I just get so tired of this argument that no one who's a Christian could ever support abortion. No way. No way. So no one who's a Christian could ever tell a lie. No one who's a Christian could ever lust. No one who's a Christian could ever gossip, slander, have bitterness. Give me a break. The whole point is we are Christians because of what Jesus did, and we're still sinners. We can say, do, we can all kinds of messed up stuff. But we've reduced salvation now, I guess, to abortion or to, I guess we'll move away from your support of Trump. I'm assuming we'll move away from that, but I guess abortion, now it's going to be social issues. It's like, are you saved? Well, let me ask you a question. Who did you vote for? What do you believe about abortion? That's now how we determine someone's salvation, and that's not historical biblical Christianity. Historical biblical Christianity did not judge a person's salvation based off what they believed about social political issues. It's like, who are you trusting in? What is your only hope for eternal life? Is it Jesus Christ and him crucified? Yes. I'm a sinner. My only hope is in the finished work of Jesus Christ. That's what we're looking for. Now, it doesn't mean we don't work on these other issues and address these other issues and struggle with these other issues. That's the process. That's what we typically would refer to as sanctification. Justification is based off the finished work of Jesus Christ, not our works. No one is justified by the works of the law. No one is justified by what they do. For by grace are you saved, that not of yourselves, lest any man should boast. Right? We are saved by the grace of God. But Joe Scheidler, I guess yesterday, walked into heaven, and he was so important that Jesus got off the throne, walked up to him, shook his hand, and said, welcome in, thy good and faithful servant. And Christian Radio knows that is a fact that it happened. When someone passes away, you don't know what happened because you can't see inside a person's heart. You don't know if so, you don't know. And it's frightening when Christian Radio puts words into the mouth of Jesus. When they say, this is what Jesus said, this is what Jesus did. Who are you? Do you think you're God? Do you think you have some supernatural power so that you can speak to us what God supposedly said? It's arrogant, it's blasphemous, and ultimately it denies. Look, they denied historical Protestant Christianity. They literally just denied it. So I guess for them, the Protestant Reformation is over. It's done. So I guess now, hey, you just decide you can become a Catholic, you can become a Protestant, because if you can be a Catholic and go to heaven. So there's no need. It doesn't matter. I just don't know why are all those people on American Family Radio? Why do they attend Protestant churches? Why do they go join the Catholic Church? Why don't we just all return back to Rome? Let's just all go back to the Roman Catholic Church. No, Protestants don't like to do that. See, hey, we got no problem saying Catholics are Christians, but we don't want to go back to Rome because, man, then we have the magisterium telling us what to do and the magisterium telling us how to interpret the Bible. And as Protestants, we don't want that. So we got no problem saying, hey, you're all going to heaven. You've got the right gospel, but we're going to reject you because we like to we like to determine what truth is. We like to decide what we're going to do. It has nothing to do with theology. It's more about just Protestants wanting to be in charge, and we get to say what we want. We can interpret the Bible any way we want. Every day I turn on Christian Radio, and I only turn it on when I'm driving here, right? Just because I'm always like, okay, I need to know what's going on in Christian Radio so that I can report and talk about it. But every time I turn it on, I am more and more convinced that Christian Radio no longer reflects. I mean, I'm not saying all Christian radio stations, because there are some Christian radio stations I do listen to. When I late at night, I'll listen to BBN, Bible Broadcasting Network. I used to listen to Family Radio, but they've changed. Not American Family Radio, Family Radio. They've changed so much that I don't listen to them anymore. I will listen to Reformation Net, Redeemer Broadcasting. I'll listen to them. Fundamental Broadcasting. I don't agree with some of their theological perspectives, but at least all of those stations at least sound Christian. They sound Christian at least to some level. They don't reflect this hijacked political mentality. But I mean, literally on Protestant radio today, Protestant Christian Radio today, they just literally denied the very foundational elements. Remember, Martin Luther said that justification is the doctrine in which the church stands or falls. Well, the church just fell. Christianity is over. Protestant Christianity is over because, well, we don't need the Protestant Reformation, because the way you get to heaven now, I guess, Even if you believe a false gospel, the way you get to heaven is what you did about abortion and what you believed about abortion. Jesus doesn't save. Your belief about abortion and you fighting against it is what saves you. Jesus didn't even need to die on the cross, I guess. All you have to do is just convince people to stand against abortion and they get into heaven. That's the sorry state of affairs that we are in. And again, American Family Radio. If it was just some local Christian radio channel, I wouldn't even mention it. But American Family Radio is a nationwide Christian radio network that's heard around the United States of America on radio stations everywhere, and all of their programs are then put in podcast form, so they're heard everywhere. They're on YouTube, they're on Facebook. Millions of people listen to them, and many of them think that that somehow reflects Christianity. God help us all. You can contact me at newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. God bless.